Hello, ladies and gentlemen, Azakai here, bringing to you another video for Conqueror's Blade, published by Pyrus Interactive. This is going to be the update and maintenance log for May 28th. We are now at the end of the season of Echo, or the Echo season, whatever it's called now. And there is a few interesting things that is happening with this update, so that's why I've decided to make a video for it. So I'm going to read out the whole thing for you. So we got the maintenance happening on May 28th. Going the AP's AC is 1400 to 1700 UTC plus 8. EU and AMS is going from May 28th to 0700 to 1000 UTC plus 1. The maintenance is expected to last 3 hours. They will distribute 8,000 bronze coins, 300 honor, and 15 unit medals. The highlights, yeah, they got a very simple highlights, of course, but obviously the more interesting stuff is at the end. So we're going to have to see the new legendary spear weapon attire called Frostbone. Um, there's changes to the elite unit access, or sorry, elite unit access is available for a limited time. The Echo Treasury Phase 5 is open, so they're now doing that. And multiple issues regarding weapons, units, UI, performance, and localization has been optimized and fixed. So going into events, the elite unit access is available for a limited time. So during the event, you can be able to choose 30 highly played, fully maxed, powerful units are available for your command for free, blah, 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 blah. All players who have reached level 9 can click the event button at the top of the menu to claim the elite unit access. After activating it, you can select the trial units to deploy in the matchmaking menu. It goes from May 28th to after maintenance to June 10th. June 10th. So 2 weeks, 1 minute before midnight server time. Echo Treasury Phase 5 is open. So we're going to see Legendary Box 5, level 100 attires from Season 12, 13, 15, and 16. I really wish they would put the name. I really don't associate these seasons with numbers anymore, considering that there's been a bit of back and forth on how they've numbered the seasons. They've flipped from the My Games one. Oh, sorry. I was on the APAC side, so you got the Booming Tech one, then you got the My Games one, then you went to, then we went fully onto the My Games one, and now we're back to the Booming Tech one, so kind of just back and forth on that one. Obviously, the level 1 attire for the Echo Epic selection boxes coming for the same relevant seasons 12, 13, 15, and 16. Echo marks and Echo badges will expire and be removed after the June 17th maintenance. So that does seem to be a locked in date. We're gonna lose all of those precious marks and badges on June 17th, which is really sad because I would have hoped that the Echo Treasury would have stayed as a permanent event. Very sad that that's happening. Um, then again, why give away stuff for free when you can sell it, kind of thing. This phase of Echo Treasury will only feature returning attires. No other items will be available. So that has stuff to do with the Echo coins that is normally associated with a event. So we won't get, so we don't have to deal with that at the very least. Um, Obviously, this phase is going to be open from May 28th after maintenance to June 17th before maintenance. The attire chest Frostbone. It's the new legendary spear attire. Um, Legend has it that at the edge of, I'm going to say, Ulster? I think I said that wrong. Endless Night. The remains of an ancient leviathan slumbers. Blacksmith retrieved its spine from the icy abyss to forge this spear. The azure veins pulsing across the shaft are the beast's restless, lingering soul. Its eerie, frostbitten barbs freeze the blood in its victim's veins before a single drop can spill. Alright, you're gonna spend golden keys to draw a frostbone. Obviously it's in G, attire chest. You can go to P, personalized weapon, and select spear frostbone to unlock the corresponding collector's legendary attire. Huh, interesting. So there is going to be something similar from the pike one. So there is a legendary collector's legendary attire unlock. So the special bonus, warlords who own both the legendary spear attire golden band staff and frostbone will receive the collector's edition skin Frostbone Leviathan. Limited time obtainment of period is from May 28th after maintenance to June 25th before maintenance. Drop rates are as follows. You can obtain it in G attire chest. Drop rates are as follows. Legendary spear attire frostbone 0.52%. Epic quality attires 14.98%. Rare quality attire is 31.50%. I feel like they're showing us more decimal points. I think they used to round it up. Common and below quality attires are 53%. So there you get with nice graphics for it. Um, Personally, you could have done without the bone section, and I think the spear would have this bone kind of like handle grafting would have been fine. I think the end here was enough for it. Or maybe you could have done something else with the bone structure here. Something probably attach it more closer to the handle or where you would place your hands and stuff. That could have been nice. Instead of this rope thing, you could have had like a bone handle, maybe. Anyway, um, that's just my opinion on it. If you like it, you like it. I'm wondering what the visual effects are going to be because there doesn't seem to be a video associated with this. I um, might check the YouTube page real quick, see if they unleashed a video for it. Nah, doesn't look like it. All right. There's also the spending rewards fortune store open. Um, so you spend sovereigns to obtain golden keys and limited time event item called Leviathan Fang. The sovereign spending calculation period is from May 28th after maintenance to June 25th before maintenance, and the fortune store rewards exchange period is going from May 28th after maintenance and to July 9th before maintenance. So you get that extra 2 weeks period to collect your stuff. Yeah, 2 weeks period. All right, we've got a new doctrine. Um, so selected doctrine for rotation. Windswept plains and flying meteor ancient battlefields open for a limited time. Inside the windswept plains, we've got a new doctrine called Unshakable Ward. Its quality is epic. Applicable units is special infantry units. The doctrine effect is Akala's Aegis. Akala? Akala? Akala's? I have no idea how I'm supposed to say that, but anyway, it says reduces continuous damage taken by 75% after activating the skill and grants immunity to daze and knockback effects caused by attacks. It lasts for 7 seconds. Cooldown is 28 seconds. So, what does this mean? It means no idea. I like to say no idea. Okay. So for all intents and purposes, this is a reduction of 75% from something. It says continuous damage, so we have no idea exactly what continuous damage means, but I'll give you what I think continuous damage is going to mean damage over time effects. Those are your bleeds, those are your poison, and your burns. That's what I think those are going to affect. 75%, it's a high amount, but to the applicable damage types, if continuous damage is what I think it is, it's a very small range of things. Going to be only useful in a very select scenario when you're going up against those particular things. It does grant immunity to daze and knockback effect, but among the meta special infantry, they're mostly CC or have some inbuilt CC immunity anyway, so I'm not sure if it's going to be useful. You would have to find a special infantry unit that doesn't have these, which I feel like the ones I'm thinking about probably aren't any good anyway. And even if you add this on, it's still limited to only days and knockback effects. It doesn't include knockdown and throw, which I mean, knockdown is probably the one that is far more common. Um, but still, it does cover it does cover types of CC, so it's got a good range, and the number of units that actually have knockdown effects, I'm probably going to say it's on the lower, well, not really. It's obviously a knockdown effect. It's not as common and normally tied into a big abilities and stuff. So your data knockback effect is going to be more commonly seen. So definitely could offer some massive protection. Not to mention it's 7 seconds of it with a cooldown of 28 seconds. So you got an uptime of 25%. Do I think this is going to be good? It really depends on the continuous damage taken. Um, and then you got to find a special infantry unit that doesn't have inbuilt daze or knockback immunity. So there's that. So it's hard to say. I mean, I can't really think of any particular unit I would use it on. The two units that I was thinking that you could use it on was the Mace Sergeants and the whatchamafate calls it the Fenry, because they don't seem to have any daze immunity, and giving them daze immunity and knockback immunity would be fairly strong. Um, but still, they're they're tier 3 units, so um, they'll only get you so far. Anyway, in the Flying Meteor Ancient Battlefield, the drop chance for epic quality musket doctrines is increased. In the Windswept Plains, the drop chance for Unshakable War Doctrine. You know, I'm just going to say this really quickly. The last time a new doctrine came along, I couldn't get a single drop, not a single natural drop of the new doctrine. And I spent 300 doctrines in order to get that. And I'm mad. I'm super mad. So I'm not, I'm I don't trust this at all. Like seriously, I did not that first day when it came out, I did not get a single drop of that new doctrine. So I'm going to be skeptical on whether or not the drop chance for this unshakable ward doctrine is going to be even in the windswept plains. So the epic quality special doctrine is also increased. So um, other special doctrines, there's your bludgeons, probably your noble bloods, those kinds of things will probably be in this one as well. Additionally, the Unshakable Ward Doctrine will not appear in other battlefields during the event. After the Windswept Plains concludes, the Unshakable Ward Doctrine will be added to the Carrion Birds Banquet. I forget which one that one is. I think it might be the infantry one. Infantry has way too many. God. This rotation of Windswept Plain marks the first appearance of Unshakable Wind Doctrine in the ancient battlefields. After this Windswept Plains opens, you can choose one Unshakable Ward Doctrine for every 100 draws. Once the Unshakable Ward Doctrine enters the Carrion Burn Banquet, this draw bonus will no longer be available. So at least we got this pity system, but I maybe I was just really unlucky last time. I'm still salty from last time. Blah 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 blah. But these battlefields are open from May 28th after maintenance to June 25th before maintenance. System adjustment and optimization. So combat balance adjustments. Balance adjustments have been made to the Angolia map. Shortened the distance from the 4 siege towers to the city walls. Adjusted the initial system artillery setup points for both attackers and defenders. So that's very important because Angolia has historically had a really long distance that the siege towers had to travel. It's a really large map. It's probably one of the few maps where I think you could have more players on it. And it's also changed how the artillery is set up. Did they move the artillery? Did they remove artillery? Is going to be fairly important because there's a lot of artilleries on both sides, and it says they adjusted both the attackers and the defenders. If you got good, you got good players that are really accurate with the artilleries, you can pretty much shut down the the defenders' ability to slow you down. But there are very many cases where um, the artillery from the defender's sides can just end up being left alone for too long and it creates too much value or a lot of value. I wouldn't say it creates too much value. It's still an artillery. Whether or not it gets value is dependent on a lot of things. And of course, position. There are definitely some artilleries you should take out straight away. Ballistas, obviously. No one likes ballistas. On to the actual good stuff. So, we've got adjustments to the glaive. We got weapon mastery adjustment glaive. Arc of Steel. Skill base cooldown is going from 16 seconds to 10 seconds. Skill base damage multiplier going from 61% to 92%. That's a more than 50% increase. Damage decay starting target count going from 4 to 5. Interestingly enough, I didn't actually think it had that high a damage decay target count. I did not believe that. Decay multiplier is going from 0.75 to 0.85, so instead of 25%, the usual 25%, is going to 15%. Minimum damage ratio is going from 0.4 to 0.45. Now that's also very interesting. I didn't believe that Glaive had a multi-hit. So this minimum damage ratio, what it's saying in this case, if I'm reading this correctly, is that the decay multiplier is 0.85 and it goes down to a minimum of 0.4. So that's approximately um, 10, 10 targets beyond, you know, including starting at 5, sorry. Starting at 5. At 5 is 0.85. 6 is 7. 7 is 0.55. 8 is 0.45. So at 8 targets, you will reach your minimum damage kind of thing. and it's set at 0.45, which is really high. You're still doing almost half your damage to eight to eight targets. Eight targets and beyond, you're dealing 45% of your damage. That's some serious damage. I mean the 0.35 for the spear and the jewel blade was already quite nasty. Spear in particular, I mean, I've wiped units really easily just from the amount of damage I feel like I could output. So this is this feels like a really strong change. That with the increase in damage, of course, but I'm not sure if Glaive's damage is even high enough, even with this change. It's really hilarious. Arc of Steel only hits 3 times and it's only at 92%. So that's not even, yeah, that's not even spear level. You still do less damage than spear on a longer not a longer cooldown actually. It's 12 seconds. Um, in relative to spear anyway, Arc of Steel deals less damage by the looks of it. I think the range is much bigger, but I think there's also a problem with the hitbox for Arc of Steel. So if they fix the hitbox for Arc of Steel, that would be amazing. Actually, let me hit everyone. That would be great. Um, there's also optimize the animation chaining frames, target engagement, and damage detection logic to improve handling and responsiveness. So that could mean anything. But the biggest thing is they probably removed animation lock. If it is, that is kind of broken. It is amazing. It makes everything feel way more dynamic. Personally, however, I think animation lock kind of was CB. Getting rid of it means kind of a new CB. So I'm gonna be that kind of like person where I miss the old CB scenario. As much as not having animation lock makes things feel smoother, the logic in my head is that people, not people, playing with animation lock is drastically different from playing without animation lock. And that distinct difference, whether you like it or you don't like it, um, it is a gameplay difference. So I played CB for a long time with animation lock, so I'm gonna kind of miss it because it's just part of my CB experience. But anyway, not having animation lock is a huge buff, like huge buff, biggest buff in the world. Especially for Warlord's Greeting. If they remove animation lock for attacks that have very narrow hitboxes, um, that's that's amazing. That's kind of gonna like be a game changer for how Glaive feels. Anyway, Warlord's Greeting. We got the skill-based damage multiplier going from 58% to 88%. Damage decay. Uh, you're just gonna have the damage decay thing be the same across all of the skills by the looks of it. Obviously, you have also the same line of optimization. Breaker of Shields. First hit. Whoa! Going from 130% to 260%. First hit is going to be changed from substantially reduces enemy block to guaranteed to break defenses. First hit adds a knockback event, interestingly enough. Uh, Damage decay and optimization is also in that. I am upset that they didn't do anything for the second hit. One of the biggest problem with Breaker of Shield, I think it was historically something around 200 plus, and now that it's returning back to 200 plus, um, it's going to, we've had that issue a long time ago where the blunt scaling on attacks was just way too efficient because of how the percentages work. Um, so returning back to the really high multipliers means that people might skip the second attack again, which was one of the really big annoyances with how Breaker of Shields work. No one would actually use the follow-up attack because of how low damage it was. It was buffed after they reduced the first hit one, but this multiplier 260% is is really high because the amount of blunt damage you can add on glaive is actually pretty substantial. Pretty substantial. So I'm kind of sad that they didn't do anything for the second hit of Breaker of Shield. Definitely, if you were going to buff the first part, you should have buffed the second part. Um, but we'll see how people use it. No, Breaker of Shields have not really been used. Its utility has been fairly worthless for what it's worth. Charge first hit. Base damage multiplier going from 44% to 88%. Finally, something reasonable. But is it reasonable in today's meta? Probably not. Second hit. Base damage is multiplier going from 52% to 104%. Do mind, the second hit is a double strike. So it is a double quick sweep. So that's very interesting change that the first hit is still fairly weak in comparison to the second hit, which hits twice. Um, I'm not sure how to feel about that. Skill-based cooldown is going from 17 seconds to 15 seconds. It's got the damage decay and the optimize the animation line as well. God of Battle. Heroes gain additional 16% armor penetrated, going up to 20% armor penetrated. Oh my god, I hate how they've written this. God of Battle gives heroes a buff which increases armor penetration by 16%. It's going to be increased to 20%. That is separate, I think, from the the damage buff it gives, or has it always been armor penetration? And is that, oh God. All right. I'm I'm probably completely lost on God of Battle right now because I'm pretty sure this is the additional effect where it only affects heroes, so it's not going to affect the unit portion of the skill. So you're just going to add more armor penetration for heroes, and this includes other heroes as well. So allied heroes can also receive this armor penetration buff, but units do not receive this armor penetration buff, from what I understand. Optimize the animation, chaining frames, and target engagement. So this could mean a lot of things. So wondering what it's going to feel like when using it. It's probably going to be that state where instead of getting locked in the frame, you can like move around and stuff probably. Or maybe it'll be easier to chain attacks after using the buff kind of thing. So there's, well, yeah, less animation lock to call it, or an increased combo chaining potential. Heat of battle. Damage reduction is going from 13% to 18%, so that is the longer duration one. I forget how long the duration is in total. Additional damage reduction in the first 3 seconds is going from 26% to 36%. Skill base cooldown is going from 20 seconds to 18 seconds. Expanded attack detection range. Damage decay. I don't. Damn it. It's supposed to just be a knockback, but the fact that it deals a small amount of damage is just hilarious. But it has the damage decay. It has the damage decay and the optimization of animation lines on it. So there's that. Expanded the attack detection range just tells me that it's going to be a bigger AoE. That's it. That's it. How big are we talking? This could be this could be fairly substantial depending on how big this knockback is going to be. If it's Bastard Sword range, that is some nasty knockback. But I must say, I'm kind of upset that they didn't end up doing it. One thing that I always hoped for Glaive in particular was them combining God of Battle and Heat of Battle. They should have rolled they should have rolled God of Battles and Heat of Battle's effects into each other and allowed Heat of Battle to be used repeatedly on a lower cooldown, but instead it was just a CC recovery, while God of Battle just had everything, all of the buffs. It had the attack buff, it had the damage reduction portion, but Heat of Battle was just straight up um, was just a straight up CC recovery. It was just a straight up CC recovery. Maybe keep the pushback. Maybe keep the pushback. That would have been cool. I think that would have been cool. Unfortunately, it's still two separate skills, so um, Heat of Battle is probably again your best survivability tool. It's your CC recovery. Your alternative one is Breaker of Shield, which is pretty worthless, except for damage. So one of the biggest problems with Glaive is a lot of its animation takes too long to execute anything, so you're just going to die. Heavy armor, for what it's worth, on Glaive is just not enough to survive in the current environment. So you need this heat of battle damage reduction, and the fact that it's being increased further will only will only increase the gap or divide between a squishy glaive and a glaive with heat of battle. The squishy innate state of glaive to heat of battle. This is the same problem I have with spear, where at before I have my buff, I'm squishy as all hell, but all of a sudden when I have my full-on stack buff, I'm like a nightmare. And it's only 20%, by the way. It's crazy. It's crazy how big the gap is at only 20%. And this is 18 with an additional 36%. Hail of Blades. This is the not used alt of the glaive. Base skill based damage multiplier is going from 48% to 74%. Skill based cooldown going from 50 seconds to 45 seconds. The damage decay. So it's got the damage decay. It's got the optimized animation, chaining frame. Really sad, honestly. Um, I think with Hail of Blades, they should have done the same thing that they did for Jewel Blade and Spear. Should have pushed the cooldown to 24 seconds. Um, the damage multiplier could have probably been pushed up to 90. Any higher than 90, I think we would have probably caused problems. But it does have a knockback effect on it. So that is a big difference between Dual Blade and the Spear ults, is that this one actually has CC on it. So for what it's worth, the knockback feels disgusting to get hit by, um, unless you're CC immune, of course. But the damage is not there. If it's going to remain at 45 seconds, you would need to shift the damage into overdrive. The overall cast length and the number of attacks. I think it's 6 attacks in total. Um, I could be wrong about that. I didn't haven't used Glaive in a while, especially not Hail of Blades. I think you could. I think they could definitely increase the damage way more than 74%. Would it be ridiculous if I was to say that they could have probably doubled it again? They could probably double 74% to 148%, and I don't think that would be a problem in the current meta of things. I think it needs to be that strong in order for it to be worthwhile. But let's see. This new glaive might we might actually see people start using Hail of Blades with these changes. So here's hoping. Flying Reaper skill base damage multiplier is going from 443 to 573%. The funny thing is that it used to be 581%, and now is going to be 575%. The damage taken by hit enemies increased by 10% to 20%. So if anyone remembers the dual blade increased damage taken, that's basically the exact same thing. It's now 20% from 10%. So Flying Reaper, any follow-up, if you don't die to the Flying Reaper at 575%, try not to die by any follow-up attacks because it's not going to be really hard. Added Horse Butcher effect. I'm not even sure what the Horse Butcher is in this case. Optimize the hit reaction and displacement of enemies struck by the skill. That's an interesting change. I think one of the weirdest things is like how this skill threw people. It would always throw people on a slight delay for me, or it would displace them in a weird manner where it feels like they're further than they should be, or they don't get displaced straight away. But that may be because of my lag. Obviously, we got the damage decay and the optimize the animation chaining frames, blah, 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 blah. So all of that is the same. For Spear, I love how they skipped over Dragon's Roar again. Um, so for all of the skills, for all of the attacks, okay, actually take that back. They've listed 8 things. Normal attacks could encompass a wider range of things, but mounted attacks, sprinting attacks, um, yeah, mounted attacks and sprinting attacks are not being mentioned here, which is very interesting. Whether or not that's just globally encompassed in normal attacks is a whatever, I guess. But the fact that they didn't include Dragon's Roar is just, are they getting rid of it? Are they getting rid of Dragon's Roar? That would be one hell of a change. Anyway, Spear is damage decay starting target count from 4 to 5. Decay multiplier going from 0.75 to 0.8. So the decay is going to be 20% per target. Minimum damage ratio is going from 0.35 to 0.4. So it's going to take 4 additional targets. Not 4 additional targets. It's going to be 8 again. Hang on. 8 at 5, 6 at 6. Yeah, it's going to be 7. Man, why do I always screw myself over with this? So you can hit 7 people and it's going to do 40% of your damage. Is how I read that kind of thing. So those are the changes. We didn't get a second class, which is kind of upsetting since we're just around the corner to the new season. I think if anything, they needed to update all of the classes before we got introduced to a new class, which I assume, again, from the teaser, from the trailer, Dual Swords is guaranteed going to be in the season. Whether or not it's going to be released straight away or much later is another question. But we're on to Glaive now, and it's only one class. We had Spear and Dual Blade for the last one. What do you guys think about the new Glaive? Nothing substantial has really changed. It's just a big old damage buff. But I do think a lot of the animation lock being removed is going to be probably the bigger impact on Glaive than anything else. And are you having fun with Spear? I personally was having a lot of fun with Spear. I know people were up in arms against the Dual Blades and stuff. A good Dual Blade is very annoying to deal with, and definitely, if I was, if my hatred for Musket was the fact that they were ranged and they just kept popping my units with free damage, um, Dual Blade with their shurikens is worse than getting hit by 2 muskets. It honestly is. uh, I had no issue with 1v1ing Dual Blades with Spear. It was kind of like a do or die situation for me. But maybe I'm just used to that. Do you guys still think that Dual Blade's overtuned? I probably bet you guys um I probably bet you guys do. I honestly have no issue with Dual Blade's damage, be it that I don't like having I don't like struggling to chase them down is one thing though. So I'm not sure how to feel about their perpetual stealth if if they are running shurikens. Otherwise, the melee skills, like you hit me with Skylark, you hit me with Butterfly, whatever. I don't really care. It hurts. It hurts. It should hurt. Um, we got also UI interaction optimized. Fixed an issue where the exit button of 3 pages overlapped at the armor. Interesting. Fixed an issue where the affix locking function failed in certain situations. Wow, that's very interesting. Optimize the image loading logic of the pre-order menu to reduce redundant resource consumption, and other adjustments and optimization. Fix an abnormal animation issue that occurred when the palace guards used thrones of guard at close range to the target. Fix an issue where the Quinn's footbow state switching skills, setup crossbow and pack up crossbow, were missing tags. Hmm? Missing tags? What tags? Optimize the processing logic of certain client functions to improve CPU utilization efficiency. Fix an issue where terrain failed to render on some AMD graphics cards under new driver environment. That's interesting. I That would explain some missing terrain images that I've been seeing floating around. Um, I didn't get that, unfortunately. I think it's really hilarious when that stuff does happen. But then again, I'm running a NVIDIA GeForce. So yeah, unfortunately, I'm not running an AMD. But I still think it's funny. I mean, I have ran into one particular issue a really long time ago where On Harbor City, the main gatehouse was gone. And for some reason, my character could not phase through, but like the hitbox for the terrain was missing for my character. So I could walk through the invisible terrain, but no one else could. And I thought that was hilarious. Like, even my units, even my units were confused and couldn't move to where I was, but my character could move to where I shouldn't be, was really funny because yeah, it was just really funny because I would pop out, hit hit attackers on the other side because they were holding the gate at the time, and I thought it was really funny. So I pop out behind the attackers and then just roll back into the wall. Anyway, um, fixed an issue where some destructible wall assets lost their collision. Oh, I didn't. Man, I wish I ran into this issue, but then again, I'm not playing that much. Fixed an issue where English voice overs did not play in the idle state when switching between multiple languages. Hmm. All right, that is the May 28th update and maintenance log. I know Conqueror's Blade is getting very little information, but the information we are getting out is heavily speculated. We know that the new theme for the season is Three Kingdoms. We've seen the teaser. We've seen the impact of the balancing. I want to ask a very simple question. What is the ideal CB? Because these changes, it to me, it's accepting the current state of things. Although the glaive could definitely go harder on a lot of things. Not Breaker of Shields first hit, but could definitely go harder on a lot of their basic skills. Um, Flying Reaper, I have mixed feelings about, of course. What what do people want from heroes, and what do people want from units? Because I mean, it's not that I don't think CB doesn't have fantasy elements, but there's a difference between the fantasy that we did have and the fantasy that Bass's sword kind of brought. I mean, the invisibility of Jewel Blade's probably sketchy, and there are probably other examples as well. But the energy sword, the energy waves from Bass's sword is where I go full on stop. I don't I don't want like the whole Wuxia thing to infest Conqueror's Blade because that's not what Conqueror's Blade was when I started playing it. It was a medieval battle simulator. And I'm scared. I'm scared. I'm honestly scared what they're going to do with Three Kingdoms. And I'm always looking forward for new content, but I'm probably not going to be as invested into the new content as I would like to be. So I hope I hope that people are enjoying Conqueror's Blade, but I want to know if that is what if if this is what people want from Conqueror's Blade. These changes, are they in a direction that people like? Is kind of what I want to know. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Other than that, my name is Asuka. Have a nice day. Bye for now.